Over 10,000 millionaires live in the suburbs where I work, and I serve them coffee for $23 an hour while hunting for my next multi-million dollar opportunity. Now, just a quick one. I'm going to write multi-million in a few different ways and ignore that because I'm not a writer, so don't judge. Anyway, this is about hunting millionaires while making lattes because over the last 2 years, my career has stalled. And if you were around for my last post, I talk about moving to the US has essentially forced me to find my next thing as soon as possible. Whether it's joining an early stage startup or building my next company, I've got to figure something out. Again, if you're familiar with my last post, I talk about the complexities that come into moving to a new country and also my history of being an entrepreneur with more of a generalist skill set now opposed to what would have been a specialist skill set. Because in this market, I think generalists are helpful only once they're enough of a specialist in one place and then they become a generalist in their domain. Anyway, that's like essentially where a lot of problems have come from in my career. Fortunately, at the coffee shop, my customers actually love me and I have a British accent, so it helps. I'm apparently high energy for these videos and what I do in person. I guess I'm higher energy than I usually am in my personal life, but it seems to help, and I'm a big fan of asking direct questions, especially when it's about how they're feeling or about their day, what they're looking forward to, in a sincere way, of course. And for instance, I was even explaining this to one of my friends yesterday. Something I'd like doing is as soon as I ask someone how they're doing, and if they return like the question back to me, I answer, hey, I'm ecstatic right now. It's going to be a good week and I'm looking forward to it. I've got something that I'm working on. One of the things that I do there is I like to try and plant a seed for the person to potentially bite. If they want to have a conversation, they then get to ask another question. If not, they just get to feed off the positive energy that I'm trying to put into the ether. And if they take that, great, so be it. Either way, it opens up the opportunity, right? One of the things I've noticed in having these types of conversations though, is people love talking about themselves, especially the highly accomplished. The wealthy, the people who are execs, CEOs, whatever, they love talking about themselves. And a lot of times they love telling their stories. It explains why, they probably end up where they do in their life and their careers. Once they're engaged, I really listen, man. I promote active listening, and I honestly think it's one of the best things you could do for creating a connection as quick as possible when it comes to having a conversation with a stranger. It doesn't matter. Ask questions, probe, take a genuine interest in who you are speaking to. And a lot of the times you will have a much more fruitful and pleasurable conversation, especially if you can understand that there is some sort of motive to the conversation. For some people, the motive is just to feel good. Some people it's to get something. It doesn't matter. Just figure that out as quick as possible. Then probe, ask questions, do what you need to do to help that conversation flow as pleasantly as possible for both parties. That's my secret, if I'm completely honest. Sometimes people get curious. They want to know who the Englishman is behind their drink. And at that point, I get to then tell them a little bit more about myself, like I've got here. That's when I mentioned I've taught over 1,300 designers and I've built partnerships with companies like Google, KPMG. Sometimes I get business cards like this one, really nice card, by the way. This one too. I've got a few others lying around the house, and that's a really cool invite for contacting them, especially when I get like a phone number with it and I get to talk about what they're doing or get to talk about my ideas, my projects. And sometimes people just want to keep in touch, which is also fine with me because it's a great way to start again. I mentioned in the past, I don't really have much of a network in the States. It's time to build everything from scratch. And to me, I'm playing catch up with people who have lived their whole lives here or gone to school here. So it's my job to essentially find ways to catapult myself much further as quick as possible. And this is how I'm doing it. My goal is simple. I want to show them that I create value with very few resources and make it clear that, the barista apron that I'm wearing isn't going to be permanent, because at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter where you start. It's all about your journey and what you're going to do. And I try to give off the impression and the energy that right now I'm making the best of whatever cards I'm being dealt with. corny. And I'm working on it. And I think that does feed into the quality of conversation, and it allows me to get to more juicy information from these high net worth individuals. I do mention though, I still don't know what I want to do in my career, especially after all of these stories, and my experiences and even my accomplishments. I'm accepting that it's okay. Most people I speak to actually are accidental millionaires. Like, they didn't plan for their success to be as fruitful as it is, or was, depends. They actually stumbled into it. Like, for instance, I've talked about this in the past. Like, early this month, I met a person who owns a construction company. The owner told me that he wants to set up a technical school worth at least $4 million a year, from year one alone. He wants my help building it because he appreciates that I have experience building schools and I know how to do B2C marketing and sales for this type of thing. I may not know his industry, but clearly I'm able to make things happen. So he's interested. Before construction, he was a programmer in his country. So he actually moved to the US and then was pushed into carpentry, where he spent over 10 years, I think. And he essentially built up connections and built up a portfolio of amazing work, which allowed him to eventually see the opportunity to go down the route of being his own boss. Today, he owns a company that has, I think it was like 47 or just over 50 contractors, which seems to be a popular thing in the market of construction. I was listening to My First Millions podcast, and there was like a story about a founder who's currently working on an idea where he wants people to install like multi-purpose sports courts in the high net worth individuals' back gardens, and it seems to be an interesting opportunity. Maybe I'll look into it. But again, to actually bring the point back, it seems like contractors seems to be an opportunity, and if you have the ability to find work and bring that work in, there may be something there which I'm keen on looking into. Maybe, who knows? But yeah, that's where things are at for him. He figured out that he could get paid more if he actually took a little bit more risk and sought after the jobs himself, especially given the fact that he has access to so many other skilled laborers. And I keep hearing stories like this. Maybe it is survivorship bias because I am in one of the most wealthiest areas in the States when I go to work. But I do see a pattern amongst the wealthy. You may not necessarily know your path, but when you're on one, be prepared to leverage more and take on more risk. I think that is a key thing that I'm learning from a lot of these individuals. It's a difference between just being an okay or well-paid employee versus being at the top, a C-suite exec, a director, a business owner or whatnot, exercising agency and having the true freedom of understanding and even understanding and the ability to do whatever you want. I think this is something that very few people can afford, and a lot of these people seem to have figured it out through leverage, and they have done they've done tremendously well in being successful here. Clearly, you never know where you're going to end up in life or where a few conversations can actually lead. And for me, I'm currently betting on curiosity being a thing that's going to help me out of my rut. I don't actually know, and I never knew what I wanted to be when I grew up. And at 29, after teaching designers for the past 6 years and running a multi-million-dollar company, I still don't know. I know that I can build something from nothing. I just don't know what I want to build or what I want to be a part of building. And this is currently where my story's at. I'm hunting millionaires while making lattes, and I'm learning about what they do, how they've done it, their stories, and trying to connect with people to build up my network and work through different opportunities. Whether I start a job from a freelancing standpoint, an internship standpoint, whether I start as a junior, I'm not too fussed because I know what I'm capable of, but I'm just trying to find opportunities, something that is somewhat fulfilling and something that can align with my skill set and my strengths. That's currently where I'm at. in terms of where you're at, if you've made it this far in the video, I'd love to know where you're at in your life. Do you know where you wanted to be when you were younger? Do you have an idea of what you want to be now? If you're in a career and you're thinking about transitioning, where does that lead you? Like, do you know? But yeah, enjoy your day. Appreciate it.